So the mistake, we really never know if we make a mistake. It's just possible. It's like the false positive and false negative when we're looking at a disease test. So errors in hypothesis test. All right, so when we're doing a hypothesis test, we have to make some kind of decision. And the decision is either going to be fail to reject the null, or the decision is going to be reject the null, that prior knowledge. So one of two things happens when we run our hypothesis test. Now, there's also reality outside the hypothesis test, which we really don't know what reality is. We're trying to figure that out. So reality. Why not just say accept the null? Typically, we don't just accept the null because the null has an equal to, and the best we can do is say, usually we just say fail to reject, and then we could go on and further say it looks like the data supports the null hypothesis, but it doesn't have to be an acceptance of it. So that's just, I don't know, some weird trickiness in the language there, but accepting it means that we know it's equal to a particular thing, and we can never know something's equal, is the problem. It's always a range of possibilities. So let's see, realities here. In reality, either the null hypothesis is true in reality, or the null hypothesis is false in reality. So in the problem we were just looking at, I decided to reject the null hypothesis. So saying, hey, my evidence is in favor of the alternative, not the null. If the null is really true here, then I just made an error, and this is called a type 1 error. Yes, like non-positive and non-negative. Yeah, agreed. So this is a type 1 error here, and it's what I referred to as a false positive. The test came back positive. We found some evidence, right? So this is like a false positive when we were talking about disease testing. This is measured with alpha, and alpha is always a guess. Okay, so should I make it 5%? Because this is, you know, it matters, but it's not life-threatening. If I reject the null and the null is truly false, then I made a correct decision here. So this is a correct decision. Now, I could fail to reject. That's happened sometimes too. So like when I found 18 out of 50 people in my area said, hey, I ain't getting a COVID test. That was a little higher than the national average, but it wasn't a lot higher. I failed to reject the null hypothesis that I said, well, yeah, no, this data supports it's about 30. So I guess I'm kind of accepting it there. So essentially, I'm kind of saying I have evidence that the null is true, but the reality is it's false. So I failed to reject that people in my area, more people than 30% are not going to get a COVID test, but really more people are not going to get it than 30%. So this would be an error too. This is called a type 2 error. So it's possible I made an error back there when I was talking about the percent of people who are not going to get a COVID test in my region. But it could be that I was right, that, yeah, no, it's about the same as the national average here. So this could have been a correct decision. So then you're going to think about, well, does it matter that I made a correct decision? So let's go back to the mindset matters thing. All right, so my data came back saying that if you tell somebody their job is exercise, they're going to be healthier, right? That's what my data implied. It supports that claim. But I could be wrong about that. This could just be a weird sample. I could be wrong. So what's the consequence of me making this error, right? There's consequences when stuff like this happens, consequences. So I go out and I tell people, your job as exercise is going to make you healthier, when in fact, it ain't. Have I done harm there? Well, they think it's going to make them healthier. Maybe they're happier because of that, and they enjoy their work more. No, I'm wrong. It's not really going to make them healthier, but there could be a positive side effect to that. Okay. Over here, I could have made an error. What's the consequence of that error? Suppose with that test, we say, it turns out we're wrong. Your job is exercise, but it doesn't matter if you know that. It's not going to help. So I'm not going to tell people I work with that their job is exercise because it doesn't matter. But it really does. It really does in reality. That mistake seems worse. So to me, in this situation, with the particular one we were just talking about, with the mindset matters, this seems like the worst error to make. Right? I don't tell people exercise, their job is exercise, and that's going to matter. But really, if I told them, it would help. So this seems worse to me. For mindset matters. So the book has some examples like this where they draw out this table and they talk about the different errors you can make. And for me, the important part of this is just thinking, okay, I could have made a mistake in my decision here. What are the consequences of my mistake? So I can think about that. And it just kind of depends. Like when I went and got my COVID test and it came back negative, but that could have been wrong. So they say, hey, you don't have COVID. I go hang out with my friends. I really have COVID. I just got them sick. False negative sounds pretty bad for that one there, right? So is it always this one that's the worst possible of the two consequences? The answer is no, it depends on the scenario. You always got to kind of think through. All right, this is what I said. What if I'm wrong? What harm might I have done? Okay, so we're out of time for fun with math today. Coming soon are the quiz and application. I should have those posted this evening. And so the quiz, just some questions, kind of like the homework, things from the book. And make sure you do the homework first, make sure you read the book, watch some videos. Get 100% on the homework before you take the quiz, always a good idea. And you get one shot at those quiz questions, and you get an hour to take them. And then the application, you can look at that as soon as I post it, and you have till Saturday to come up with a response to that. It's going to be kind of similar to the one we did last week, which I'm still working on grading. That's it for now. I have office hours today at 2, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday at 10. If you want to find another time to meet me, let me know. Take care. Do good math. Have a great day. Adios. Hey, Caleb, do you have a question?